Okay, so let's fire up our Keyshot. And the first window that should pop up is the Welcome to Keyshot window. And from right here, right below, you want to click on the Open icon here and go ahead and select whatever object it is that you're going to be working on. I'm going to be clicking the Japanese bridge here, and then you want to keep these default. And from here, just click Import. And there it is. Here's our object. Now, quick overview of the navigation. In order to move your object around, you want to go ahead and hold left click and drag, right? And that way you can select a different angle of your object. To pan your object, you want to hold middle mouse and drag. Hold middle mouse and drag. And then in order to zoom in and out is just your scroll button. Your middle mouse scroll, and that's it. So left, hold click and drag. Scroll for zoom in and out, and then middle mouse click and drag. Okay, so let's move on to our interface, user interface here. Now, some of you may not have these two windows open on the left and right side. This is your library window here on the left, and on the right is your project window. And let me show you how to find those really quick. So let's X these out, and while we're at it, let's X out the toolbar here, because some of you may not even have the toolbar. So in order to find those things, you want to go under Window. Let's get the toolbar back by clicking Toolbar, and it'll appear right below. Okay, this is where we're going to find a rendering button. Now let's get our library window back. For that, you want to go under Library, and you actually have to click on one of the sub-menus under Library. Unfortunately, just clicking Library won't work. So let's go ahead and click the Materials menu here, and there it is on the left side. Your library window pops up, and all the subset of tabs show up as well. And notice that these are the same tabs that when you go under Window, Library, are the same menus that are right here on this list. Now, in order to get a projects window, is actually the exact same way. Under Windows, go to Projects, and you again have to click on one of these. I'm going to click the projects version of Materials, and that will appear automatically on the right hand side, and that's how you find your two windows here. Now notice that the library window and the projects window both have material tabs. In fact, they even have other similar tabs like environments here and environments over here as well. But I want you to know that these are very different depending on what window you're working in. Your library, the materials tab in your library is for the library of materials. On the right side, your materials tab under project is to edit the settings of the materials. So left is to find your material under library, and the right is to edit those materials. And the same for the background or the environment. Okay. So let's talk about the two different versions of each object you're going to need. You're going to need a sketch version of it, and you're going to need an ambient occlusion version of it. So the sketch version, the shader here is called Toon. It's the Toon shader, and in order to find that, you want to go first, be in your library window, click the Materials tab, and scroll down to your Toon. Go ahead and click that. And right below, you're going to find a large list of Toon shaders. You want to pick the first black and white one here, and you actually want to drag, hover over your object. It gives you a preview. Go ahead and drop it. Okay, and that will give us a black and white outline of our object. So now, remember we were talking about how on the left side is your library, on the right side is to edit it. In order to be able to get your context window to show up, you have to double click the object. So double click the object that you want to edit, and voila, your context menu will appear under Materials here, and now you can edit it. So here under the submenu you see Contour Width. I wouldn't touch it. Go ahead and leave it as default, but if you wanted to know, this is where you can increase the thickness of the black lines. So, but we're going to leave it at 0.5. The other thing that we want to keep in mind is the background, and for that we want to edit the background under Environments tab right here. So go ahead and click it and go down below, and you'll see under the Backgrounds tab below here you have three different options. You have your lighting environment, your backplate image, which you can import your own image in the background, or color, and that's the one that we want. Over here you have this swatch icon here. You want to go ahead and click it, and let's go ahead and drag this up here. And right here you're going to see a collection of swatches, right? You have your grayscale here. This is the one we want to select. We want to select the second one. So it's now this nice flat color in the background, right? And it's not this distracting gradient. And again, it's the second one. Go ahead and click OK. Now we still have a little bit of a distraction right here. We have this drop shadow on the right side here. Scroll down to ground and go ahead and uncheck ground shadows. And now we have a clean sketch version of our object. And from here you can pose it to either be the front view, you have profile, or 3/4. And each object is going to have a different list of requirements for different angles, right? So go ahead and refer to that list to know which or in how many of those angles you're going to need per object. So that's it for the toon or sketch version of the object. The other thing that we're going to need is the ambient occlusion version of it. And in order to find that, go back to your library window, make sure you're under materials, and go ahead and click miscellaneous. And under miscellaneous, you're going to go ahead and find your occlusion material. Go ahead, click and drag, and drop over the object. And notice that it's turned into this nice ambient occlusion version of it. Now we want to make sure that the background is a flat white environment. So to make sure, we're actually going to go again into your library. You want to find the environment in your library here. And here's a list of different environment settings. You have 3-panel straight light, for example, 3-point light. You want to click and drag and drop into the environment. You see how the lighting changed? But we don't want any of this kind of fancy stuff with the lighting. We want a flat white background for ambient occlusion, nice and clean. So what you want to do is you want to pick your white, your all white background, click and drag into the background, and here it is. Nice, cleanly lit environment in a clean ambient occlusion version of our object. And same with this one. You're going to pose it in whatever it is that the object that you have requires. So some of them only have maybe one requirement, like profile, and some of them may have all three or more than that. So just go ahead and pose it, and that's pretty much it for that. So now we have our ambient occlusion, and all that's left to do is to pose it and render it. Now in order to render, you just go ahead and click your render button down here in the toolbar. Let's click that. You have this pop-up window that pops up here, and you're going to go ahead and give it a name right here. And we're going to give you guys a list of all the standards for things like size, which right here, this is where you check your inches, right? And this is your DPI. We're going to have it at 300 DPI is pretty good. And the file type, we're going to keep it at JPEG. And we'll give you guys a naming convention for all of your objects as well right here. We're going to just go ahead and call this one Japanese Bridge Ambient Occlusion 3/4. Q for quarter, why not? And then go ahead and click render. It shouldn't take too long, but I'll see you guys in a hot minute. Okay, we're back. So our scene finished rendering, and you can see we have a 3/4 version of it. All that's left to do is just to make sure that it is saved, and it automatically does save it. So you can see here in the in your PC, under Documents, under Keyshot 7, under Renderings, you're going to find all of your renders here, right? And it's going to have the name that you designated it. So you don't need to go ahead and resave it. That would be redundant, and you'd be saving another version. So here it is. We're just confirming it's there. Go ahead and click Cancel, and you're done. All you have to do now is just do the other angles. Go ahead and X that out. And at that point, since it's already done, all you have to do is just click and drag, pose it, and go ahead and re-render again, and so on and so forth. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to contact me or Jill at any time on our Facebook page. That's the Game of Foams texturing team. And that's it. We'll be meeting every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'll see you guys there. All right, thank you so much, and see you guys soon.